Coming up on this week's podcast, we take a look at this weekend's talking points. We look at Luton and Wolves. We've got some more Wonders of White, another Who Am I, and Liam's put together another quiz, so let's get started. Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the new series of the Youthful Sideline podcast. It's Chris here and Liam is here as always. Hello Liam.
Good evening Chris, how you doing?
Not too bad Liam, yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Although quite a short weekend in terms of Premier League football, but loads of sport on the telly. So overall very good.
Yeah, there was good wins for Monaco against PSG 3-0 and then Barcelona.
Yeah. Wow.
Quite embarrassing really for Real Madrid. Although they are still top, aren't they? So I don't think they'll lose too much sleep about it. But you never want to lose to your fiercest rivals in that sort of way. Especially when Aubameyang is scoring at free will.
Yeah.
It never looks too good on you. But yeah, no, there's been not so many games this weekend, but obviously for Chelsea they got through to another semi-final FA Cup. So and we managed to draw Crystal Palace, which so we've missed Liverpool Man City. It could be a same as the Carabao Cup final. It could be a Liverpool Chelsea final. So yeah.
Interesting. And you took some fans up to Middlesbrough, which I wasn't expecting. There was a few Chelsea fans there.
Yeah, I think they bought their tickets pre everything happening. So I think there was 600, 700 people up there. So, but now we've got an international break next week. So hopefully they can get something sorted with the sort of week they have off. I think it's another away trip to Leicester after that. So again, not too bad, but obviously they want to get fans in for especially the FA Cup semi-final, at Wembley.
It would be odd to have half the ground full and the other half totally empty.
Yeah. From what I hear, there's quite a few bids being, that were put in on that, before the deadline on Friday. So we just have to see who they go ahead with. From what I hear, they've all sort of in and around the sort of money that they were looking for. So yeah, we'll wait to see. It's a bit different this week on Talking Points. We've actually, obviously because there wasn't that many Premier League games at the weekend, we are going to talk about Wolves in a bit. But firstly, we are going to talk about the Championship. Liam, you've got a bit of experience in the Championship. Sorry.
Such a long time ago, I'd forgotten about those glory years when we used to win more than we lost. Yeah.
So we're going to look just quickly. Obviously, very close in the playoff places at the moment. So, I think it's any one of that. I think Sheffield Wednesday went from 9th to 5th at the weekend. Sheffield United, that's
going to make some people in Sheffield very angry.
Oh well. And so it's very, very close. But there is one team that I am quite impressed with at the moment, and that's Luton. Obviously their manager Nathan Jones is actually his second stint at the club because he did leave briefly for Stoke, didn't he? And that didn't work out very well for him. Or Stoke, yeah. And he was actually quite good when he was there first time around, when he got him up from League One, and then decided to leave. I'm not sure why. And then obviously now he's back. They seem to be firing on all cylinders at the moment. Another impressive win against Hull at the weekend. And their top scorer, Adebayo, 14 goals, signed from Walsall a couple of seasons ago. So it's not like they've been spending huge amounts of money. And noticeably, they have got a bit of Premier League experience in and around the squad. So I was looking through their squad. They've got Snodgrass, Cameron Jerome, Harry Cornick, and then a few players that you might recognise, Liam. Jed Steer, James Bree and Henry Lansbury.
Yeah, and of course Snodgrass being an ex-Villa player as well, or
So
on loan. But I mean Lansbury really didn't do much for Villa, to be fair. James Bree was kind of in and around the under-23s. I think we didn't really do that with him, but yeah, in Jed Steer they've got a very good Championship goalkeeper. Snodgrass, we loved him the year that he was with us. The Championship is, now he's getting, I think he's 33, I think, something like that. Is probably his level. I think he was above that level when he played in that league with us. But very creative, great on set pieces, so a very smart player. And I think what a lot of teams fail to do, but what is ultimately quite successful in the Championship and even in leagues below that, is they get a philosophy. And it's not necessarily about spending money, it's about finding players that suit that system. And Luton seem to have found their system. And we'll touch on it a little bit with Wolves later, because I think they did something very similar in the Championship, although they did have money to back it up. But if you can find that system that works for you, and you can get players to that are built around that system, it can really work wonders. And if you put this is the time of year where a good run of form in the Championship will see you get to the playoffs or get that automatic spot and go up. So fair play to them. Not spending big money. They don't get huge crowds, but it's working. You got to say fair enough to the manager.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with the sort of tactical approach that he's gone with. He's almost thought about how he's going to play and then sort of tried to sign players that he knows that have got experience and that are going to be a good team fit for the team. But yeah, even when they came up against Chelsea the other day in the FA Cup, they didn't do themselves a disservice. They were quite unlucky not actually to get, maybe take it to extra time in that game. But it's good to see, because obviously you've got all the big clubs out there that you normally would expect to see, sort of, Bournemouth and Fulham, and but can Luton keep it going, and can they get up to the Premier League? It's if they do get up, I think the squad, they don't want to go out and buy 10, 20 different players. I think they may be the team. They probably have the lowest transfer budget in the league, but
I think they've learnt maybe from last time, because, and this is going back a few years, I think they either got in the playoffs or they were close to getting to the playoffs, and I think they'd maybe spent above their means a little bit, and the fact that they didn't then get promoted was what eventually almost killed them, really. I think they almost went out of business, but they went down the leagues into the conference. They were still in that league less than 10 years ago. So the rise that they're going through at the moment, it has been quite quick. I just hope they don't, and then they'll be more aware of it than any team, because it has happened to them. They don't want to put all their eggs in one basket, and then if they fail at this attempt to get promoted, for it to be extremely costly. I'm sure they will have learnt from it, but it's good to see a different name. Like you say, the teams that you expect to be up there are probably up there. Some of the bigger names are maybe struggling a little bit in that league, but it would be nice to see a new name in the Premiership, I think.
Yeah, they've only actually scored 3 goals less than Bournemouth, who are above them. They are 6 points behind Bournemouth, but they do have a slight advantage over the teams around them, Luton, that they do have a game in hand. But they have got they do play Fulham towards the end of the season. But other than that, they've got Huddersfield as well, but other than that, they haven't really got many teams to play around them. So, I think they're giving themselves a real good chance here. And, if they can, keep on sort of getting the results they're getting now, I can't see why they don't make the playoffs, whether they're good enough to go up. And if they do go up, whether they can stay up, it's to be seen. But it's just good to see a different team up and around that sort of league. And, I think a lot of it is down, to Nathan Jones, who's, he did wonders for them first time round, and seems to have sort of doesn't even feel like he left for Stoke. Came slotted straight back in, and he gets them working really hard, and I think they're hard to score against as well. That was one thing Chelsea really struggled against them, was to find an opening, because they were so well sort of rehearsed at the back. It was it was hard for Chelsea to actually get in. But Nathan Jones, he was in the Yeovil team that saw Yeovil start go up through the conference, through League Two, and then sort of in and around League One before he left. But I think he played over 100. He must have played over 150 games for Yeovil. But yeah, it's very impressive stuff.
It's also worth, I don't know if you have had a look, but Kenilworth Road, it's a ground that I've actually driven past it, and the entrance to some of the turnstiles are through people's houses.
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
Ground, but yeah, if there's anyone out there who hasn't seen it, have a Google, because you wouldn't know it's there unless you were told. So, yeah, it'll be a really interesting, if they do go up, it'll be a really interesting place for the bigger teams to go. As you saw this year, Chris, obviously Chelsea sort of struggled a little bit.
Well, the ground is very, the stands are so close to the pitch. There's not much, there's not much room. Even the dugout is sort of in and amongst sort of where all the seating is, because there's just literally, I don't think they even got a technical box, because I don't think there's room for one. But I think, if they go up, it'll be a shock to the system, because there's not many players that would have played at a ground like that. Right. And, they've played well up until now, so all they've got to do is just, keep it going.
It's always the way, isn't it? The team that puts that run together is normally the favourite to go. We did it, obviously. Villa, we won 10 in a row, and that was enough to give us momentum. So, if they can keep on this way, then why not?
Yeah. So good luck to them. I think we'll stay in touch for this one. I think until the end of the season, just to see if they can push on and at least get to the play. I don't think they'll go up first or second, but I think they've got a very good chance of going through the playoffs. And like you said, it's going to be the experienced players that get them there, I think. So, yeah. So now we're going to move on to Wolves, and obviously the sort of football that they've been playing recently. Obviously, they lost on Friday to Leeds after being 2-0 up. But the sending off was a bit of a joke, to be honest with you. Yeah. I just can't understand how they've managed to give him a second yellow for nothing, really, for just trying to win the ball. I just it's just getting a bit farcical now, and the red card has it's turned the tide, and Leeds have gone on to win the game, but it's not sort of that game that we're just focusing on. It's sort of their performances throughout the season.
Yeah, I thought it was it's quite interesting, because I think they've gone under the radar a little bit. I think over the last few weeks I've heard a few more people maybe talking about what a good job Lager's doing. He took over a decent squad from Santo, I think, but yeah. I don't really think anyone expected them to be playing as well as they are. Certainly still in the fight for Europa League next year. I think when sort of over the last few years, especially since Wolves have come up, they've been kind of known for, they've had the likes of Neves, Jimenez before he got injured. It was quite exciting. Traore was quite an explosive player. They were kind of known for having a bit of flair and getting results that way. But Lager's changed the dynamic, I think, a little bit, and it's to be built on a strong defence these days. I mean, to be honest, there's not really one player in the system that they play who particularly stands out. Looking at their strikers, there's no one who's going to get 15, 20 goals a year, as much as I'm sure Wolves fans would love Jimenez to hit that form again. they haven't got that player at the moment, but it doesn't seem to be hindering them too much. They seem to be grinding out results, whereas before I don't think they were able to do that. They were either blowing teams away or they were losing. Obviously, they've still got Neves, who is top class on his day, but I think just the system that they're playing in now gives them a bit more stability, and it's less about individual players, more about the effort as a group. Although they did obviously lose against Wolves, I think the sending off, obviously, as you say, had a huge effect on that. They looked quite comfortable, really, I think, until that point. The game was kind of ebbing and flowing. It was a bit, end to end, but they seemed to be coping a little bit better. And then to lose a man, it just seemed to affect their confidence a little bit. I don't know whether Europe is going to be on the cards for them this season. I think, they're 8th at the moment, and that would probably represent a good season for them. But as we said about Luton, they came up with a brand, didn't they? They came up with a philosophy and they stuck to it. And it's a credit to good board decisions, like sensible decisions made by the management. I hadn't heard of Lager before he came in. I hadn't heard of Santo before he came in, but they did their research, allowed them to bring in players. Obviously, they're known now for having like a Portuguese spine of the team, if you like. And it just shows what happens when you have a board who have faith in the manager. I don't know whether there is a job out there that Lager might be tempted by, but I do think he's gone under the radar a little bit at the moment. But I think if he continues with this, we could see I don't want to say bigger team because Wolves are a big club, but we could see someone coming in for him. And why not? I think he's done a terrific job.
I think, sort of their key players, I think, are the two in midfield, Neves and Matinho, because they're the ones that seem to be able to recycle the ball really well. Yeah. And both of them have got pretty good range on their passes, especially Matinho. He's quite well rehearsed when it comes to long passes and sort of experience he brings. But like you said, none of the players, on paper really stand, but they work well as a unit. Half of them are Portuguese. Yeah. But when you look at the back, you've got sort of Cody Bolly and Sayas.
Same back line, really.
They've fighted. Yeah, and they've as a back line, they've really worked well together. And then, one player that goes under the radar is Dendoncker.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy can play anywhere in midfield. If you need him to sit in front of the back four, he can do that, or he's got a bit of attack and flair with him as well. But, it's just worked for them this season. And I'm not sure what it is, and I'm not sure why previous manager couldn't get it to work. Maybe he got them to a certain stage that he thought he could, but even then they were doing, I thought, well above what they probably what they should do. And, Lar come in and, I don't think he's changed too much. I don't think a lot has changed. But I think the belief in the players, I think, is a lot. And I think Cody is, an extremely good defender on his day. And without him in the back sort of three, they do struggle sometimes. But they're 10 points ahead of Villa, who they play next. So theoretically, you say they beat Villa, they sort of open that gap up even more. So they're only looking up really now.
Yeah.
They've still got to play Newcastle, Burnley, Norwich and Brighton are probably for them the games that they're looking at as winnable. So that's another sort of 12, 15 points if you take the Villa game as well. They have got to play Liverpool and Chelsea in the last 3 games, which is, they're good enough to get something from those games, especially against Chelsea. I always hate playing Wolves. I don't know why it is, but they're gonna. I think they'll finish just outside the Europa League. I think they'll get the Conference League, because I think when you look at the other teams there, Tottenham, you never really know what Tottenham are going to turn up. You can get the Tottenham that seem to play quite well, or you get the Tottenham that just don't seem to be that interest. Man United is so unpredictable at the moment. You never know. West Ham kind of fallen short recently, I thought, in their performances. I thought with West Ham, I thought the one thing that they didn't buy in the January transfer window was a striker.
Yeah.
I think a striker would have it really would have completed that squad. I think if they found the right person, I just think it would have.
I've seen a lot of West Ham fans on social media sort of saying you compare the size of their squad with other English teams in Europe, their squad is a lot smaller, and it is, but they are trying, I think, to bring through academy players. It obviously works so well with Rice, They want to emulate that. I think Ben Johnson's come in recently and he's done well this season. So, maybe they know more about who's coming through. But yeah, it's and I think Wolves, if they get into Europe, they're going to have something similar. You need a big squad if you're going to compete in the last stages of these tournaments, because you're going to be playing 2 or 3 times a week. Especially at this time of year, it is going to catch up on you. So. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they might sneak in, Wolves. I feel like they deserve to, because, like you say, Cody's excellent at the back for them, and he kind of epitomises everything about what they're good at, and it's being well organised, it's being hard to beat, hard to break down, but they've got that extra little bit going forward that gives them just that enough to get that one goal that they need and keep a clean sheet. So, it'll be interesting to see where they go next year. I don't know what they're like in terms of finances. Obviously, they got taken over in the Championship and spent big for that division to go up. And since then, they've probably been at a similar level to the teams around them without overspending. It'll be interesting to see if they back the manager and really go and make a statement and spend big in the summer. Because I think if they could do that, if they could get that financial backing, they could be a good force for a few years. I think Wolves.
I think they, depending on where they finish, they may feel the need to bring in players. Obviously, if they get into Europe, but it's one of those where if they keep the team that they've got, I don't think they won't get any worse. They'll probably just get a little bit better. So, we'll have to wait and see. But that was talking points for this week. Just quickly, I just saw that Ollie Watkins has been added to the England team.
He has. I'm quite surprised, to be honest.
Quite a few have dropped out. I don't know why Reece James was in the team to start off with, because he's been injured. So I don't know why they even bothered putting him in there. But I see Alexander-Arnold, Ramsdale and Tammy Abraham have all withdrawn. So,
Graceman's coming in.
Mitchell, Walker-Peters, Johnson and Watkins have come in. So, it's good to see Conor Gallagher in the England team as well.
Yeah, he's had a good season.
I think he's definitely deserved that. 2 Crystal Palace players, actually. May have both.
I believe there's actually 3. Because
Mitchell. Oh yeah. Well, he played for Chelsea last season, so Chelsea doing the business when it comes to bringing in talent.
Be interesting to see what happens to Gallagher next year. Obviously, he's only on loan. I was just wondering whether he's going to get a game for Chelsea or whether they'll kick him out again.
Well, no, I think he's got a good chance. The problem is that the midfield is probably one of the most crowded positions that we've actually got. Because you've got Kante, Kovacic, Jorginho, Mount can play there as well. So, it's probably going to be up to him if he wants to stay and fight for his place. You've got Loftus-Cheek as well, Ross Barkley, but I don't think either of those will be there.
Barkley's not playing again.
So we'll wait and see. He's done what Mason Mount did, really. He's gone out on loan, proved himself that he can play, at the top level, and we'll just have to see what happens, really. I think he's the sort of player that is going to give you sort of that 110% every game. So yeah, I was just saw before we came on that Ollie Watkins had been added. It's only friendlies though, isn't it? From what I'm aware of, so it's not, it's not hugely, significant sort of games.
I thought
If
he might
anything, think of it.
I thought he might experiment a little bit more. He's got, Kane is obviously in there, Henderson, people that I think have maybe played quite a lot of games this year. I think maybe
probably, I may be out of sort of saying this, but I don't know why Jack Grealish is in there. I think I've not been funny. He's done all right, but he's not, he's not lit up the Premier League this season at Manchester City. I mean, there's other players out there like Jared Bowen. Why is Jared Bowen not there? Or am I being
think
mad?
he's injured, to be fair, because I think he probably would have been in the side if he was. Yeah, I would personally pick him, to be honest.
But he's made a statement in the fact that he's not picked Rashford, and I think if anything's going to pick up his performance as Rashford, it will be known that, as it stands, is he going? He'll probably go to the World Cup no matter what. If he's still playing like he's playing now, I still think he'll go. But probably just a kick up the arse from Southgate saying, look, you need to start performing. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. There's going to be a few debuts anyway. But like you said, if he starts with Grealish, Kane, and Sterling, it's not really achieving anything, is it?
No.
In a friendly, you want to start with sort of. Well, he's added Watkins in, so you might as well start Watkins, Smith Rowe, and Saka.
Yeah.
Up top, and then give someone like Gallagher and Ward-Prowse a chance in the middle, and then sort of Cody, Mitchell, Walker-Peters, and Ben White maybe. It's just a bit strange that they're having to play friendlies, especially a crucial part of the season for most clubs. I'm surprised that most clubs will let their players go, to be honest with you.
Like all Liverpool, Man City players, even United have only just gone out of Europe. Chelsea are obviously still in. They will still be knackered. They've played so many games this year because, obviously Chelsea, Liverpool got to the Carabao Cup final, also still in the FA Cup. But we'll see what happens. I thought he might experiment a bit more, but obviously I've got Gareth Southgate wrong. In that, Grealish was in the form of his life and had to really fight to get in that team, and he's probably been playing. Not bad.
Average. I'd say he's been average.
He's played probably the worst football he's played for about 3 years.
And he just gets in there.
He just gets in the squad. But,
Oh, dear. Cool. All right. Well, that's it for part 1. In part 2, we'll be back with Wonders of White, Who Am I? And Liam has drawn together another quiz for me. So we'll see you in part 2. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of this week's podcast. We're going to go straight into Wonders of White, and this week we have a 5th Wonders of White.
Never been done before.
Never been done before, because I'd literally seen it about 10 minutes before we were recording, and I didn't want to take any of the others out, so I've just added another one.
Excellent.
Okay, so Jota is now the outright Portuguese top scorer within the top 5 leagues. He overtook Cristiano Ronaldo at the weekend. Tammy Abraham.
This season? Sorry, is that this season? Yeah.
This season,
I thought Jota would have scored loads more than Ronaldo this year. Interesting. I hardly remember Ronaldo scoring at all, but
I think Ronaldo's got 17 goals.
Really?
Jota's got 18, yeah. I think that's in all competitions.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Not league.
Cool.
And Ronaldo did score hat-trick the other day, so he did actually overtake Jota, and then Jota took him out. Tammy Abraham has now scored 15 Serie A goals this season. This is the most he's ever scored in a season, but staggeringly, he's actually scored just less than Lewandowski this calendar year. He's actually second.
wasn't it?
Lewandowski's.
I was going to say he's doing very well out there, to be honest.
You love him out there.
And rightly so.
Look at the video. Have you seen the video from yesterday?
I did, yeah.
Oh.
It was amazing, to be fair, and he does deserve it. You know, Villa fans everywhere will still remember him very fondly. I do want to pull you up on that, though. I think he did score more goals for Villa. Just saying. I think he got about 25.
Flight.
Yeah. All right, we won't count those years. We were not there.
So this was the 80th time that Manchester City have scored 4 or more under Pep Guardiola.
Oh,
80th. This is insane.
Incredible.
Michael Elise now has the joint most assists in the Premier League for an under-21 player.
He was another one I thought might be in the England team.
Yeah.
He played very well.
I think, am I right in saying that he is weighing up options for another nation that he could potentially play for?
Right.
He's tied with Phil Foden. They both got 8. And then the last one. This is more, I wouldn't say a stat, but more of a story or something that happened at the weekend. So, Mustafa Cisse, ever heard of him?
I haven't, no.
Well, you are now. You're going to hear about him now. So he came on to score the winning goal for Atlanta against Bologna at the weekend. Just a month ago, he was playing in the 8th tier of Italy.
Wow.
So, yeah, they signed him 4 weeks ago. He's played 3 games for their B team, and he scored 3 goals. And he came on at the weekend and scored the only goal of the game. They won 1-0.
What a dream. 4
weeks ago, he was in the 8th tier of Italy. So you will not find him on Football Manager.
Blimey.
Yeah.
That is basically us sat at home, isn't it, to be honest?
So the 8th tier is the Northern County, well, for my local region, it's probably the Northern Counties League Division 1. So that's like someone getting found there and then 4 weeks later scoring for West Ham or Wolves the winning goal.
Fair play.
Crazy. Yeah, he's only 18. But yeah, what a story. And
yeah,
4 weeks ago he was unfortunately just in football terms he wasn't really anybody, and now he is.
Yeah. Fair play.
But yeah, well lad. Okay. We're gonna move on to your quiz.
Yes. The quiz. So last week we spoke very, very briefly about football rivalries. So I thought I'd put together a quiz all about good old-fashioned English football derbies. So you've got 10 questions. See how many you get. I've no idea whether this is too difficult or too easy. I'm not too sure, but we'll see how it goes. So are you ready? Question number 1.
Go on.
Okay, question number 1.
Yeah.
Name the 2 teams involved in the Old Farm Derby.
The Old Farm Derby.
Yeah, which I just thought was a brilliant name.
Oh my god! Is this like worldwide or is it within the UK?
All English teams, and I haven't even gone lesser English teams. They're all. I think every team mentioned in this quiz has played in the Premier League at some point.
Okay. The Old Farm Derby. That would make me think that it's sort of down my way. I don't know why, but I actually have no idea. I'll say I'm actually going to go a bit. I'll go Norwich Ipswich.
Correct. It is.
Norwich
versus Ipswich. Yes. Which I'd never heard before, and I just thought was quite a fun name. So well done. First question, 1 point. Let me jot that down.
Aren't Ipswich named their nickname?
They're the Tractor Boys.
Tractor Boys, aren't they? Yeah, that's the only reason I thought about it. Go on, the Old Farm Derby. That's like the knockoff version of the Old Firm Derby. That's like a straight to DVD release.
Yeah.
That is the Old Farm Derby.
And
It's like it's like a film that's had like 3 different franchises from it, and then they've literally just picked together the bones for a 4th film, and they've done. We'll call it the Old Farm Derby.
it runs close for my favourite derby name, and I can say this because this derby isn't in the quiz at all. But Cheltenham Town against Forest Green is El Glossico, which I just think is genius. Sure. Whoever thought of that is an absolute genius.
Go on then. What's the next one?
Question number 2. So, Craig Gardner has played on both sides of the West Midlands derby, but who has he played more league games for? Is it Villa or Birmingham?
You know, weirdly, I think I've seen his name because when I was doing my research on Villa, and I was trying to find a question about players that have played for both teams, but I never actually looked into it that much depth. I just can't remember him playing that much for Villa, but then I don't really know if he played for Birmingham. I'll go for Birmingham.
Correct, he did. He played 109 league games for Birmingham.
He can't have played that much for Villa, surely.
59
that's
league games for Villa. Although he did play more for Villa in the Premier League. Most of his appearances came from the Championship. So just want to put that out there, just to give myself a little bit of credit. Well done, 2 out of 2. Question number 3. Who is the only Premier League player to score for both sides in the North London derby? That's Arsenal v Spurs. The only Premier League player to score for both.
There couldn't have been that. I say there couldn't have been that many, but there's probably been a few that have played for both, but whether they've scored.
There is only one that has scored for both. There's a few who have played for both. I can think of at least 3.
Oh, the only one that's screaming out to me now is Adebayor.
Correct. And
is
Adebayor is the only person to score for both sides. I know Sol Campbell.
Sol Campbell was my first thought, and then I thought about it and thought, well, Adebayor's played for both.
I remember Gallas, and I think, didn't David Bentley play for both?
I remember him scoring against Arsenal.
Yeah.
That's worldy against them.
Anyway, 3 out of 3 so far. Congratulations.
Yeah. I'm happy with that.
In 2009, Manchester United beat Manchester City 4-3, but who scored the 96th minute?
It's Michael Owen.
Correct. It was indeed Michael Owen. I thought that made that a bit more difficult and saying who scored the 2 goals for Man City. Wondered if you can remember that. I might give you a bonus point.
2 goals for Man on that day.
On that day, can you remember who scored?
When was it? 2009.
2009.
Oh, no. I want to say Tevez, but was it Tevez?
No,
not sure
Craig Bellamy. Craig Bellamy. Number 5, this one is one of the Chelsea derbies. Which former Fulham manager played for both Chelsea and Fulham in the Premier League?
Did you say former Fulham manager?
Former Fulham manager.
The only one I know is Scott Parker.
Correct, it is indeed Scott Parker. 5 out of 5 so far. Slipped in this. Absolutely slipped in it.
Yeah.
Only 2 managers have taken charge of both Newcastle and Sunderland in the Premier League. Can you name either one of them?
Newcastle and Sunderland. Oh, lordy lord. Steve Bruce.
Correct. Steve Bruce is one of them. Can you name the other one, just out of interest?
No.
Sam Allardyce.
Oh.
Managed both. Which I just forget. I mean, chances are, like, he's managed so many teams.
I was about to say, always go with Allardyce. If you've got a manager's question, if you've got a question about a team that's been relegated or near relegation or promoted from Championship, just go with Sam Allardyce. Or Tony Pulis.
Yeah, he's the other one. Question number 7 then. You're doing really well, so I'm going to throw in a difficult one.
Oh.
The highest fee that Liverpool have ever paid Everton for a player is £6 million, which was paid in the year 2000 for which England international?
In 2000, lordy, 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 lordy. You said English.
He is English. He was an England international, and he cost Liverpool £6 million from Everton in the year 2000.
I have no idea. I will say it's Jamie Carragher.
No, it was Nick Barmby.
Oh, how could I forget? Another good answer. If you ever got a footballer that's played for about 20 different Premier League clubs,
yeah,
Nick Barmby's the answer.
Always the way. Question number 8. Which striker played for Harry Redknapp at both Southampton and Portsmouth in the noughties?
Striker?
Yes. Which
striker? Southampton and Portsmouth. Oh, blimey.
Both under Harry Redknapp. Both quite successful spells, as I remember.
Oh, no. It's gone. I can't think of it. Crouch is the one that keeps sorry, but I don't think he played for Saints. So.
If I were you, I'd stick with it. I'm going to give you a point because it is indeed Peter Crouch.
It is, isn't it?
Congratulations. Yeah. He was at Southampton in, I think it was 2005, 2006. Got his move to Liverpool and then ended up at Portsmouth.
Oh, you mean, okay. Yeah. I'll take that.
Right, well done. Question number 9, 2 more to go. What is the informal name of the derby between Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United? A chap, redeem yourself with the people of Sheffield, by the way.
I want to say it's like something like the Steel Derby or something like that.
I'm going to give you the point.
It's
the City Derby.
Yeah, the Steel. Okay, yeah. Okay. I vaguely remember hearing something about it before, the Steel Derby. Okay.
Final question. Question number 10. Derby County and Nottingham Forest have played each other 99 times in the Football League, but which team has the most league wins? It's a 50-50.
I'll just say Derby.
Wrong, it is Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest have won 39 to Derby's 33, and then obviously the rest have been draws. But well done, 8 out of 10. That's a good score. That seems to be what we're all getting at the minute.
I'll have to do you one next week, and I'll make sure they're. I did guess a few, but I did know a couple though. I did know a couple.
We're going to get a lower league.
You're going to get the Northern. You're going to get the Northern Counties Southern Division League One history for you. But yeah. Okay, so moving on to Who Am I? So with the theme of the championship in talking points, this is where we're going with Who Am I? And I have clues. I have 2 clues for you if needed, but I don't think you're going to need them.
Okay.
Because I think the first team might be a giveaway.
Okay.
So this player has played for Villa.
Right.
He then went on loan to Watford. He then signed for Derby. He went on loan to Wolves. And he is at the club he's at next is the club he's at now.
So he started at Villa.
Yeah.
Loaned to Watford. Went to Derby. And then on loan to
Wolves.
Then on loan to Wolves. Not many players have played for both Villa and Wolves. Started at Villa, loaned to Watford. I'm drawing a blank here a little bit. Let me have a think for us just a second. Because no, give me a clue.
Okay, so your first clue. You can have. Do you want them both, or do you just want one?
Let's go one to begin with.
Okay, so the first is he scored 18 league goals this season in the Championship.
Oh God! So he's still playing in the Championship. So he's gone from Wolves. Who's doing well? I need to brush up on my Championship top scorers before we came on here. Can't remember any ex-Villa strikers doing particularly well in the Championship. The only one that's doing quite well is Archer, but obviously he still plays for us. Who I'm going to need clue number 2, I'm afraid.
Clue number 2 is the player's nationality.
Okay.
He's Austrian.
He's Austrian. Well, I don't ever remember him playing for Wolves, but it's got to be Andy Weimann then.
It is Andrew Weimann, yeah. Yeah, he did have a brief spell at Wolves on loan.
I didn't even know that.
And when he was at Watford on loan, he actually, from what it looks like, you loaned him out for half a season and he went back out on loan there for the rest of the season. But it was Weimann. He's got 18 goals this season. He scored again for Bristol, so he's at Bristol City at the moment.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, for him, yeah.
He's actually been playing at right wing back for them recently. I was watching the Championship highlights and he scored a winner. I think it was against Blackburn the other week. From right wing back. I don't know if he's been playing there all year, but if he has, to get 18 goals.
Yeah, I think he's been playing up front.
I was going to say, but yeah, fair play to. No, that was quite a good one.
This is the most he's ever scored in a season, because last season I think he only scored about 4 or 5 goals for them. So, but he has been there for 5 or 6 seasons now.
Yeah,
so.
He's been there a long time. And to be fair, considering he sort of came on the scene, had a really good first year with our senior squad. And I remember seeing reports that like Valencia were after him, like big names in Europe. And I was thinking, no, like hands off our boy. And then he basically didn't do much after that. That was it. And he had that one good year for us and then we had to let him go. But fair play to him. He's still going, still playing at a good level. So yeah.
So yeah, that was, Who Am I? And that wraps it up for this week. Do you have anything else, Liam?
Nothing else from me.
No. There is no podcast next week, also, because there is an international break, and no one wants to hear us talking about 2 England friendlies for an hour. So
no, we don't like that.
We won't put you through that. So yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. So we will see you then.